Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are trying to grab hold of smoke, basically.
Grab hold of smoke. I like that. It's pretty accurate.
Yeah, because we're talking about human connection, which is, it's that invisible current that runs between two people.
Right, the vibe.
Exactly, the vibe. The thing that makes you, instantly trust a stranger or cry at a movie or even just feel your heart rate physically drop when a specific song comes on.
It really is the ghost in the machine. I mean, we usually talk about connection as this mystical, intangible thing. You either have chemistry or you don't.
It's fate or luck.
Right, exactly. But today, we're going to completely dismantle the vibes.
Dismantle the vibes. I am here for it.
We're looking at the actual mechanics today, the biology, the psychology, and the performance of connection. Because when you look at the research we have today,
and we have a lot of it.
We really do. Whether it's the art of method acting or the history of 18th century medical trials or just the hard science of your nervous system, you realize these aren't just magical feelings, they are levers.
Levers you can pull.
Levers you can pull. And if you know how they work, you can not only understand yourself better, but you can arguably influence everyone around you.
Which is wild to think about. And we have a very eclectic stack of sources to prove this today.
It's a weird mix.
It is a weird mix.
Yeah.
But I love it. We're going to look at a retrospective on the late Philip Seymour Hoffman to understand how to, fake connection authentically.
Yeah.
And then we have this wild historical account from the 1780s involving a guy named Mesmer, a tree full of ropes, and Benjamin Franklin.
A story which, by the way, accidentally invented the modern clinical trial.
Which is insane.
It's literally one of my favorite anecdotes in the history of science.
We will definitely get there.
Yeah.
We also have hard science on the vagus nerve, music therapy, and finally some really tactical advice from the worlds of hostage negotiation and mentalism.
So the mission today for you listening is to connect the dots between performance, how we project emotion, and biology, how we physically regulate it. How do we fake it? How do we feel it? And how do we use it to influence the people around us?
So let's start with the masterclass.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can talk about the mechanics of human connection without talking about Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Absolutely not.
I was reading this retrospective from Vox and IndieWire, and honestly, it hit me all over again what a massive loss his death was.
Yeah, it was tragic.
But what jumped out at me wasn't just his talent, it was his philosophy.
Because he didn't view acting as magic. That's the key takeaway here. He viewed it as labor.
Yeah, totally.
There's this interview he did with the 92 NY specifically talking about his Oscar-winning role in Capote. Now, usually when actors talk about method acting, they talk about the psychological toll.
Well, yeah, I became him, I felt his pain, I didn't break character for 3 months.
Exactly, the whole tortured artist trope.
Right.
But Hoffman had a totally different take. He compared it to athletic training. He said he had to rewire his voice and his body for the event.
Rewire it.
Yeah, he wasn't just sitting in a chair. He was running a marathon while sitting still.
I love that metaphor so much.
Yeah.
Because Capote wasn't an action movie.
Not at all.
He's literally in a suit drinking cocktails.
Yeah.
But Hoffman said that holding that voice, that really high-pitched, distinctive lisp, and holding that very specific posture is just physically exhausting.
Right, because he said you cannot stop the race halfway through the day. This is the part that really struck me from the source. If you drop the voice or the posture during lunch just to relax, you lose the physical rhythm.
You cool down.
Cool down, and you can't just warm up again instantly. So for him, connection wasn't this ethereal mental state, it was physical endurance.
He had to physically endure the character for 12 hours a day to make it real for us.
Exactly.
And speaking of making it real, there was this incredible detail from that same interview that I think just perfectly illustrates his genius.
Oh, the fingernails.
Yes. An audience member asked him about his fingernails in Capote.
I love this detail so much.
It's so small. Because Truman Capote was this fastidious high society figure, right? Perfect suits, perfect scarf, always put together.
Very polished.
Very polished. But the audience member noticed that in the film, during this tight close-up, Hoffman's fingernails were actually dirty.
Yeah.
And they asked him, was that a mistake? Did you just forget to wash your hands after lunch?
And Hoffman's answer was no. It was the most deliberate choice in the movie.
Wow.
He said Capote was an alcoholic. And his observation of alcoholics was that no matter how well dressed they are, no matter how perfect the tuxedo is, they often start to neglect the tiny details of hygiene.
So the suit is the armor.
The suit is the armor, but the hands give it away.
That's the definition of a private tragedy. tragedy, isn't it?
It really is. And that was the director Bennett Miller's explicit goal for the film, to show the private tragedy of a very public persona. And Hoffman found the tragedy in the fingernails.
Because that's how you build connection with an audience. You don't just look at the camera and tell them, I am sad.
Right, you show them the dirty fingernails. And the audience subconsciously registers the pain. It's a literal shortcut to the brain.
But he didn't just do tragedy. I mean, we really have to talk about Twister.
Oh my gosh, the suck zone.
The suck zone. I mean, on paper, his character Dusty is a total cliche.
Yeah, he's the loud frat boy storm chaser.
Right. And in the hands of a lesser actor, that's just a throwaway role.
Mm.
You play it for laughs, you get your paycheck, and you move on.
Completely. But Hoffman treats Dusty with the exact same seriousness he treats Capote.
He really does.
He turns him into this legend of pure external energy. The way he yells, food. Food. It's so specific. It's pure id. He took a totally generic script and made it human.
And then you flip the coin again, and you get the master.
Oh, terrifying.
So terrifying. He plays Lancaster Dodd, this cult leader, based loosely on L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah.
And that performance is magnetic. You want to be near him, even though you know he's incredibly dangerous.
There's that scene where he sings on a slow boat to China to Joaquin Phoenix.
Yes.
It's seductive, it's paternal, and it's deeply disturbing all at once. That is the dark side of connection right there. Charisma used as a weapon. He captures you with his voice alone.
And then, just to show the full spectrum, you have Magnolia, where he plays Phil Parma, the hospice nurse.
Such a beautiful performance.
And in a movie where everyone else is literally screaming, crying, and regretting their lives, he's just there.
He's pure empathy. And that actually brings us to a really important concept in performance that applies to real life, too.
Okay, what's that?
It's the power of stillness. We found this breakdown by Catherine Stroller on acting techniques, and she talks about visual silence.
Visual silence, explain that. Because usually when you or I are nervous or trying to impress someone in a meeting or on a date, we do the exact opposite.
Right, we fidget, we try to be interesting.
Exactly.
We think we need to make this engagement, we nod, we gesture, we smile way too much. But Stroller points out that stillness actually draws the audience in.
It creates a vacuum.
Yes. A vacuum that the other person is forced to fill. It forces them to come to you.
She used the example of Glenn Close in Dangerous Liaisons.
Yeah, the final scene.
Right.
She is just removing her makeup. She's staring into a mirror. There's absolutely no dialogue. She isn't doing anything to entertain you. She is just existing.
Yeah.
And you cannot look away.
It is riveting.
It is, because she trusts that her presence alone is enough.
Or Mads Mikkelsen in Hannibal.
Oh, the ultimate example of predatory stillness.
Predatory stillness. I love that term.
Watch him in that show. Everyone else around him is pacing, sweating, highly anxious. He is completely grounded. He barely even blinks.
It signals absolute confidence.
Exactly. It tells the reptilian part of your brain, I am the one in control here.
We also saw a note in the source about Morgan Freeman in Cess7.
Yes, the opening scene. He's just sitting in a chair. He's not really doing anything. But he commands the screen instantly. It establishes his character's weight and experience without a single line of dialogue.
So the practical lesson for you listening is, if you want to command a room, stop moving.
Basically, yes. Start performing your interest. Stop nodding like a bobblehead. Just be present. It's the less is more principle physically applied.
If you settle your body, you settle the room.
Exact.
Okay, so that's the invisible force of acting, charisma, stillness, focus. But let's pivot here, because there was a time in history when people didn't think this force was just psychology.
They thought it was physics.
They thought you could literally bottle it. We are going to 18th century Paris to talk about Franz Mesmer.
Yeah. Yes. The man who literally gave us the word mesmerize. This story from the Public Domain Review is absolutely wild. It reads like fiction.
Set the scene for us. It's the 1780s. The Enlightenment is happening, but people are also weirdly obsessed with the occult.
Right, so picture this. You have an ailment. You go to see Dr. Mesmer. You walk into a dimly lit room. There's heavy incense burning, so the smell is intense. The windows are covered. And there is eerie, ethereal music playing on a glass harmonica.
Which, fun fact from the source, was actually invented by Benjamin Franklin.
The very same. It makes this ringing, vibrating sound. And right in the middle of the room is a tub. A baquet.
A wooden tub.
A wooden tub filled with iron filings, powdered glass, and quote-unquote magnetized water. And sticking out of this tub are these iron rods. You and the other patients friends sit around it, holding the rods, and you are all roped together to create a circuit.
I mean, it sounds like a bad seance.
It does. And then Mesmer finally enters. He's wearing a lilac silk coat. He carries a white wand. Naturally. And he goes around the room, staring deeply into your eyes, touching your stomach, unblocking your magnetic fluid.
And his actual medical theory was that this fluid connected everything in the universe.
Yes. He believed in animal magnetism. He thought there was a literal physical fluid flowing through all living things, sort of like gravity or electricity.
Right.
And illness was just a blockage of that fluid. If he could remagnetize you, you'd be cured.
People just bought this.
They were completely obsessed. It was the wellness trend of the 18th century. People would go into full-blown convulsions. They would faint. They would scream. And they claimed to be cured of blindness, paralysis, depression. It became such a massive craze that King Louis VI actually got worried.
Worried about what? That it was a cult?
Basically, yeah, he thought it was dangerous. So he appointed a royal commission to investigate. And this wasn't just anything. This was a science all-star.
Who's on it?
You had Antoine Lavoisier, the father of modern chemistry. You had Dr. Guillotin, yes, that Guillotin, who invented the guillotine. And the head of the commission was the American ambassador, Benjamin Franklin.
I just love that Franklin is investigating the guy who is using Franklin's own musical instrument to set the spooky mood.
It's true poetic justice. But here is where it gets scientifically fascinating. The commission had a huge problem. They couldn't prove the fluid didn't exist just because they couldn't see it.
Right, because gravity is invisible, but it's real.
Magnetism is invisible, but it's real.
So how do you disprove a fluid that no one can see?
You have to separate the fluid from the imagination. They realized that every time Mesmer cured someone, the person knew they were being treated. They knew exactly what to expect. So Franklin and Lavoisier devised a series of experiments that essentially invented the placebo control and the single-blind trial.
Give us the highlight reel. Talk about the apricot tree experiment.
The apricot tree experiment is brilliant. Mesmer claimed you could magnetize a tree, and anyone who touched it would instantly feel the effects. So Franklin takes a 12-year-old boy who was a sensitive, meaning someone who really, really believed in this stuff.
Okay.
They put him in Franklin's orchard in Passy.
And they told him, go hug that tree, it's magnetized.
But it wasn't. It was just a regular, everyday apricot tree. But the boy hugged it, he felt nothing, so they sent him to the next one. By the fourth tree, which was also completely unmagnetized, the boy collapsed into a full-blown crisis. He was convulsing and fainting on the lawn.
Just because he believed it was magnetized?
Exactly. The expectation created the physical reality. And then they did the reverse. They took a woman and gave her cups of water. She drank 4 cups of totally plain water, but she thought they were magnetized.
Let me guess.
Yeah, she had a massive crisis. Convulsions, the works. Then they gave her actual magnetized water. Mesmer had personally spent hours blessing, but they casually told her it was plain.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. She felt totally fine.
So Mesmer was just a fraud.
Well, he was wrong about the fluid, that there is no magnetic fluid. But the commission concluded something even more profound. They concluded that the imagination is a force capable of producing massive physical effects.
It can make you faint, it can make you vomit, and it can take away your pain.
They proved the absolute power of suggestion.
It's amazing that they basically discovered the placebo effect just by trying to debunk a guy in a silk coat.
Truly.
But here's the thing. Mesmer was trying to manipulate an invisible force to regulate the body. He was entirely wrong about the what, but he wasn't wrong that something physical happens inside us when we feel safe or connected.
That is the perfect segue, because today we know there actually is a superhighway in the body that regulates calm and stress.
It's not magnetic fluid.
No, it's the vagus nerve.
We looked at some research from Light on Anxiety and Cedars-Sinai on this. Explain this simply. What exactly is the vagus nerve?
It's the longest cranial nerve in the body. Think of it as a fiber optic cable that directly connects your brain to your heart, your lungs, and your gut. It is the master switch for your parasympathetic nervous system.
The rest and digest mode.
Exactly.
So when this nerve is active, we feel safe.
Yes, and we can actually measure how well it's working using something called heart rate variability, or HRV.
I feel like I hear about HRV constantly now with all the Whoop bands and Apple Watches everyone's wearing.
It's a really great metric. Basically, you want high variability. It means your heart is flexible, it can rev up quickly when you're stressed, and slow down.
And if your HRV is low.
It means your system is stuck in stress mode. You're essentially rubbing the engine at a red light.
So how do we stimulate this nerve? If we don't have a tub of iron filings handy, what do we actually do? The sources gave us some hacks that honestly sound almost too simple to work.
They are very simple, but they are purely biological. The first is breathing, but specifically the exhale.
Right, the 4-7-8 technique. You inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, and exhale for 8.
Wait, let me actually check the source on that real quick. The source corrects this. It's actually inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4.
Oh, got it. So it's essentially box breathing.
Yes, box breathing. But the focus in many of these techniques is still that regulated exhale. When you inhale, your heart rate speeds up slightly. When you exhale, it slows down.
So by controlling that exhale and holding, you are manually slowing the heart.
You are sending a literal safety signal up that fiber optic cable directly to the brain.
Then there's cold exposure.
This one is an evolutionary hold. Splashing freezing cold water on your face triggers what's called the diving reflex.
The diving reflex.
Your body thinks, oh no, I've just fallen into a frozen lake. It immediately slows the heart rate to conserve oxygen. It's a biological hard reset for anxiety.
And the third one, which really connects us back to performance and acting, is vocalization. Humming, singing, or even gargling water.
This one is fascinating. The vagus nerve runs right past your vocal cords. When you hum or sing, especially using low resonant tones, the vibration physically massages the nerve.
That explains so much. This is why chanting Om in a yoga class or singing a lullaby feels so incredibly soothing.
Exactly. It's not just spiritual or cultural, it is mechanical. You are physically vibrating your own nervous system into a state of calm.
Which perfectly brings us to music therapy. We found this super moving essay by a volunteer musician named Zach Lee. He works with an organization called Bread and Roses.
Such a great piece.
He talks about going into care facilities and playing music and seeing an immediate physical shift in the patients.
It's profound. He mentions that music directly reduces cortisol and blood pressure, which again is activating that vagus nerve. But what was really interesting from his essay is that it has to be the right music. There's actually a condition called specific musical anhedonia.
That is quite a mouthful. What does that mean exactly?
It basically means a brain disconnection, where a person doesn't feel any pleasure from music. But in a broad therapy context, it means that generic music doesn't always work. If you play soft, relaxing jazz for a hardcore death metal fan, it's not going to be therapeutic.
It might actually stress them out.
Exactly. Personal taste is the key that unlocks the door to that calm state.
Zach told this amazing story about a woman in a facility who was wheelchair bound and deeply depressed. She barely moved, barely spoke to anyone. And then he started playing Mac the Knife.
Mac the Knife, not exactly your typical lullaby.
Right, but she started tapping her foot. Then her hands. She totally came alive. It turned out that was her late husband's absolute favorite song. It unlocked a memory pathway that literally nothing else could reach. It's such a powerful reminder that we store our identity in these deep sensory details.
It was also a note in that research about speech recovery that honestly blew my mind.
Yes, the neuroplasticity aspect.
Exactly. Speech is generally controlled by the left hemisphere of your brain, Broca's area. But singing involves the right hemisphere.
So if you have a stroke on the left side of your brain,
You have stroke victims or people like Gabby Giffords who suffered a severe brain injury who absolutely cannot speak in normal coherent sentence. They can't just say, I want water.
but they can sing.
They can sing, I want water. They use the melody to bypass the damaged area completely and access language through the side door of the brain.
That is just, the brain is wild. It finds a way to connect even when the main wires are completely cut.
It does, because connection is a fundamental survival instinct.
So we've covered the actor's discipline, the biological wiring of calm, and the sheer power of music. But I want to close by looking at the psychology of influence.
The tactical side.
Yes. How do we use this understanding of human nature to actually navigate the real world? Because sometimes connection isn't just about healing. Sometimes it's about getting what you want.
And for that, we have to look at Darren Brown,
The Mentalist.
the mentalist. He did this incredible interview with The Times where he was surprisingly open about why he actually got into magic in the first place.
Right.
He basically admits that magic is a fraudulent route to impressing people, born entirely out of a lack of social skills.
He talked about having this nervous tic as a kid, right? Like a naughty thing with his head.
Yes, a naughty thing. He felt like a total outsider. He felt deeply disconnected from his peers, so he learned to control perception instead.
He realized that if he could control what you see, he could control how you feel about him.
Exactly. It's a bit cynical, sure, but highly effective.
But he also exposes how easily all of us are manipulated. He did this show called The Experiment.
Oh, the mob mentality.
Yeah. In one segment, he looked at how a crowd behaves. He showed that an audience, just regular, nice, everyday people, would consistently choose nasty, mean options for a participant just because they were insulated by being in a group.
It's the dark side of connection. When we connect to the crowd, we disconnect from our own individual morality.
We sync up with the group, just like those people holding the iron rods in Mesmerism salon in Paris.
Precisely.
But let's say you want to influence people without starting an angry mob or learning complicated card tricks. We found some really great practical advice from the Black Swan.
That's Chris Voss's negotiation firm, right?
Yes, the former FBI hostage negotiator.
Yeah.
They teach this concept of calibrated questions.
This is the ultimate practical takeaway for your next meeting, the how question.
Break this down for us.
Okay, so someone makes a totally unreasonable demand. They say, I need this massive project finished by tomorrow morning. Your natural instinct is to push back and say, no, that's impossible.
Which instantly triggers a conflict.
Right. It breaks the connection. You immediately become the enemy. Instead, Voss suggests you look at them and ask, very gently, how am I supposed to do that?
How am I supposed to do that?
Think about what that phrasing actually does. It sounds like you're asking them for help. It's humble, but functionally, it's a trap.
Because it forces the other person to stop pushing and start solving the problem with you.
Exactly. They have to look at the entire situation from your perspective.
You're forcing them into empathy.
You are. You aren't fighting them. You're asking them to logically execute their own bad idea. And usually they realize they can't answer the question. They say, well, maybe you can't. And they end up negotiating against themselves.
It shifts the burden while completely keeping the connection intact. It keeps their vagus nerve calm, if you will, instead of triggering a fight or flight response with a hard no.
It is visual silence in verbal form. You throw the ball back into their court and you just wait.
So, let's bring this all together. We started today with Philip Seymour Hoffman,
who taught us that connection is an athletic discipline. You have to rewire your body, your posture, your voice, your energy to convey emotional triggers. You can't just think it. You have to endure it.
Then we had Mesmerism, who tried to literally bottle that in a tub of iron filings.
And in doing so, accidentally proved that our imagination is a physical force. If you truly believe the tree is magnetized, you will convulse. Expectation literally shapes reality.
We looked at the biology, how humming a simple tune or splashing cold water on your face physically hacks your vagus nerve to create a feeling of safety.
And finally, we see how asking the right question, how am I supposed to do that, can navigate a tense conflict without ever breaking the human bond.
It really all comes back to what Hoffman said in that 92NY interview. He said, everybody on the planet looked at closely enough is worthy of being loved.
That is the common thread through all of this. Whether you are an actor building a character, a therapist playing a song for a patient, or a negotiator trying to close a difficult deal, the goal is always the same.
You have to look closely enough.
You have to look closely enough to find the human connection. You have to find the specific mechanism that makes that other person tick.
And that leaves us with a final thought for you to chew on today. We learned that the imagination, as Franklin proved with that apricot tree, can cause a boy to physically convulse. We learned that one calibrated question can completely change the outcome of a high-stakes negotiation.
So here is the provocation for you. If our physical reality is so easily shaped by suggestion, by performance, and by the subtle social cues we constantly give each other, how much of your daily reality is actually just a performance you are co-writing with the people around you?
And if you decided to change the script tomorrow, what would happen? Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.